really started this groundswell that's become Iowa Renewable Energy Jobs 2020. So as I look around, the crowd today, I see a lot of the familiar faces that help make Dubuque a leader in renewable energy and sustainability. And as we all know, it's not a foreign concept in Dubuque to draw the link between renewable energy and job creation and a strong economy. It started here in Dubuque with the mayor and city council's vision, and it's obviously been more successful than even they could have imagined. So Dubuque has established itself as a leader, and as I said, as I look around, I share that, and I'm grateful to all of you that have helped do that in Dubuque. But it's time for the state of Iowa to get on board, and that's where we come in. So for those of you who I haven't met before, and most of you are familiar faces, I'm Rocky Yanakoros with Green Dubuque. I'm the vice president of Green Dubuque. This is Barry Scheer, president of Eagle Point Solar, where I also work my first green job. And I'll be introducing Barry in a little bit to talk about the nuts and bolts. Before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about Iowa Renewable Energy and Jobs. If you guys haven't had a chance, come up and see some of the materials here. This is a grassroots movement across the state. Iowa has actually established itself as a leader for wind energy for the most part, and we've done a great job, and it's been strong for our economy. We have multiple studies, and some of that we can give credit to the Iowa Policy Project, and Will Hoyer here was also a member of Green Dubuque who's worked on a study. And you'll see that in some of the materials in the fact sheets. But there's no guesswork involved here. We've seen the case study in Dubuque. We've seen the case study where these wind farms have gone up. They do create jobs. Solar energy is taking off in Iowa now. And there's a great opportunity for solar energy. And what we need to get the citizens on board throughout the state. They've spoken. We want renewable energy. We want distributed solar energy, not just big wind farms. We want more wind. We want biomass. We want renewable energies. We want better transportation systems that save Iowans money and put us back to work. Iowa Renewable Energy and Jobs will create 20,000 jobs while saving Iowans $1 billion or more in energy savings. That's the type of economy that I want to build here. That's what we're aiming for throughout the state, and it's going to take everyone to get on board, to call our legislators, call our local elected officials, talk to our employers, talk to your neighbors, talk to your family and loved ones, and help them understand that this is the future of Iowa, that we will be a leader in the country. We will show the country how this is done. It's being done in Europe, and there's no reason why we can't do it here in Iowa. Put Iowans back to work. Now, among the many opportunities that this presents, there's many reasons why we want to see this happen. From my perspective, I'm a believer in climate change, and I've seen the economic impact that can have in a negative way if we allow it to go unchecked. If you don't believe in climate change, everyone understands the job creation, and the facts are there. So I align myself with the science. I also have a background in economics, and I understand that this is going to be the backbone of our economy here in Iowa, to be energy producers, energy exporters, and to have clean energy and clean air for our children. Now, I've had the pleasure of recently accepting a job at Eagle Point Solar here in Dubuque. We're in the unique position, I'm trying to yell over the traffic here, but we're in the unique position here in Dubuque to actually have a solar integrator locally that can make this economically viable. And I'd love to introduce to you right now Barry Scheer, who's brought his great business sense. He's run many successful businesses, and now he's bringing it to renewable energy so that we can have a clean energy future. This is his legacy that he wants to leave with you. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys with one final thought. Let's make sure we're contacting our elected officials and letting them know. And we're lucky enough in Dubuque that we have great elected officials. Let them know that we like what they're doing already. We like the job that they're doing. We like that they're driving sustainability forward. And let's talk to our state and state representatives, our state senators, and get them on board with this as well. For the most part in our area, we have good ones there too. But without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Barry Scheer, and he'll talk to you guys a little bit about his vision for Dubuque.
Wow, how do I follow that up? I've actually been chasing Rocky for a couple of years because I think he was actually born to do this and not cell phones.
He's pretty good with cell phones too.
He is good with cell phones.
I did okay with cell phones.
I can get anywhere I need to go on my cell phone thanks to Rocky. We'll see how he does with every phone system. About 10 weeks ago, myself, Tim Dwight, and a few others started an initiative to create a legislative agenda for the 2012-2013 Iowa session. We started in got off late in 2011, 2012, and believe it or not, we actually were able to get a bill through. It's tied to a car wash bill. We've got renewable energy car wash bill. I don't really understand the car wash part. That's a little complicated for me, but I do understand the solar part. So this year, we started this early so that when the legislators go into session, we have some pattern legislation on a whole variety of renewable energy issues that they can just rewrite the bill, number best to it, and we can actually have something at the beginning of the session, midway of the session, instead of scrambling to get something done. My personal belief structure is renewable energy is the new industrial revolution. It's all good. It's all good. And unless you're a coal miner or you manufacture rail cars all coal, there is no downside. The economics are such right now, so we're able to deliver a 7-8 year payback, which are good returns. I'm sure everybody would like to be getting 12, 13, 14% on their CDs, except this is an investment that the lifespan of this investment is theoretical. Clark and I have seen photovoltaic installations that are 40 years old and that are still producing. And they don't look like this. This is made in a robotic factory and is very, very efficient. Last year was our first full year. We installed just under half a megawatt of solar panels, and that was about twice as much as previously existed in the entire state. It's very fragmented. Mark and I got together and we decided that this is a real market opportunity, and we decided to make Dubuque our home base. A big part of the reason was Dubuque sustainability initiatives and just the environment that we're in. People believe in climate change. People believe in renewable energy. Our governor certainly is the renewable energy governor. That will be his legacy, among other legacies, but probably his major legacy. And he signed the solar bill. So he's ready to see that initiative go forward. So we plan on doing, the sky is the limit. I can plan whatever I want to in terms of how much solar we're talking about, but we're looking at potentially in the next 2 years 10 to 15 megawatts of installed solar. I mean, it can go anywhere where there's space, where there's roof. Utility rates keep going up, which makes this easier to sell. From a scratch start, Eagle Point Solar now has 15 full-time people with health insurance. I can see a year from now maybe being 40 to 60 people and making this a real force in the region. So I'm here with my limited business skills and with Rocky with his great sales skills, Clark with his electrical, I can make anything work skills. We're here to really make this. We're here to really make this go. It's not just about economics. This is personal. I don't care what your climate change beliefs are. Probably most of you believe this is really happening. It's something that can be measured. Arguably beyond the tipping point. It's easy to measure. That's happening right now. This is the hottest summer we've ever had in our life. It is. And over the last, I think, 10 years, we've had 8 of the hottest years in history. And I don't think that trend is going to change. So we're doing everything we can to slow it down, to bring the equilibrium down. Perhaps in the next decade we can get to where Germany is, and in the month of May they actually produced 50% of their electrical power through renewable energy. 50%. We need to get there. That's what jobs are real. And
quick. I'd be remiss if I didn't identify some of our local leaders that are here with us today, and I'm really glad I waited because Pam Yoakum just made it in here. So I'll start off with Joyce Connors right here on the City Council. She's part of that vision that I talked about that led us to I know the mayor and Rick Jones would have loved to be here, as well as Carla Bragg. They've all been great leaders for us, but really the whole council has worked together as a team to drive this vision forward, and it's been just massively successful for Dubuque. I'd also like to point out Representative Chuck Eisenhart right behind us here. Chair of the Environmental Committee. Ranking member of the Environmental Committee, and always an advocate. You can catch him at Green Drinks tomorrow, hopefully. So Chuck, thanks for your leadership. And then, of course, Senator Yoakum, always for your strong leadership, fighting for us. So, to make the hard decisions, they don't make money off of those type of decisions. I know there's a lot of money floating around out there for people that choose to take a certain side. There's not a lot of money in the decisions that they're making, but they're standing up for us and representing us. So big round of applause for all three of them. Then I'd like to take questions if anybody has any. Mary and I will take questions.
Instead of Catholic Meg, how long did you install
Last year.
last year? What is the city of Dubuque?
I don't know about in terms of requirement, but I think we can talk about this in terms of like the climate impact that would have. So Barry, you're usually a little better with the math in your head. What would
Well, I think if you take the city's greenhouse gas emissions and divide by 2.5, that will galactically give you about what the power usage of the city is, and that would probably be the only way I could address that. I'm just not sure. It's a big number. Our biggest array last year was on the municipal operations garage. That was a 200 kilowatt array, which at the time, and may still be right now, the largest array in the state.
not anymore, but at the time it was.
Well, we knew that was going to last for a couple of months.
A couple of days. Lasted a couple of days.
Yeah.
But that array itself, and we're talking about 990 some cities, 99 counties, tens of thousands of buildings. On that one building, that offset is avoiding about 500,000 pounds of greenhouse gas emissions each and every year. So it does make a difference, and it's a big number.
And in terms of, specifically speaking of like the city of Dubuque, for example, solar is going to play a big role in that, but it's important to understand that there's no silver bullet, and certainly solar, in my opinion, is the best option that we should be leading with, but there's no silver bullet. It's more like a thought of like silver dioxide, so it's hard to define what the need is. What the need is what we don't need is we need to get rid of coal. That's the poison. That's what's poisoning our kids. It's poisoning our rivers. It's creating climate change. So as much solar as we can get out in Dubuque, where it makes sense, where it's saving people money, that's what we're after right now. And that's blue sky right now. It hasn't been even ventured into yet, so that's what we're after.
This should be a lot easier than it is, but we are aligned against some very powerful interests in the state. For those of you that occasionally read Andy's writings, you might be familiar with some of my tussles with slow they don't mind renewable energy as long as they own it and they can send it to you through their power lines and have you pay for it on their bills, but anything short of that they don't really like. Their business, and they really shouldn't view it that way. Like the president says, we need an all-of-the-above strategy for energy. Everything, every direction. Except coal.
And I'd like to just speak, to that point too. It's not our intention to generalize utilities. Utilities have been a strong partner for energy efficiency improvements. They'll continue to be a partner. There's certain issues that we don't necessarily see eye to eye with them, but the utilities have been a great partner in general in weatherization, energy efficiency rebates, and things like that. And I think they'll continue to be. We'd like to just give them a nudge in the right direction. Anyone else? Paul?
Is this legislation cutting edge, or are other states already doing a lot of these same pieces that allow
You can take it after I take it. It is and it isn't cutting edge. Renewable energy in this state is behind where it should be, at least solar renewable energy. Big wind, you can't go anywhere without some big wind. Photovoltaics are as effective, and in many cases more effective, because right now if you had a wind turbine right here, you wouldn't be getting any kind of photovoltaics. There's about 4 or 5 legislative initiatives that we want to promote. One of them is particularly close to me, and that's a financial structure called power purchase agreements, where we can sell renewable energy to municipalities, schools, churches, non-taxable entities. And by having a third party own the array and selling the power, the third party can take advantage of all the renewable energy incentives where a municipality can't. The project that we did with the city last year would not have been feasible if we didn't have a third party. We want to change the rules on that, that if you overproduce, if you have a solar array and it produces more than you're using, the meter spins backwards, and generally that's the way the legislation reads. That's not the way some of my utility firms interpret it. There's about 4 or 5 other initiatives. I don't know how many of you know what demand billing is, but if you're a big customer, or even a small customer, like take Finn and Kia for example, it's not a big energy user. The demand portion of their bill is about half of their bill, and it's based upon your highest 15 minutes of use in a month, and in some cases it can be 3 months or even a year. So just imagine you have a broiling hot day, you get a rainstorm, all the women go to the bathroom with their hair dryers, 1,500 watt air dryers, as well as the air conditioning and everything else. You could be punished with that peak demand use for an entire year. A better example is the Mystique Ice Arena, which has its own economic challenges, mainly because of its power cost. We looked at that last year as a project. We could avoid close to 1 million pounds a year in greenhouse gas emissions, but because their demand occurs at night, the Saints are playing, the ice is down, and parts of the building are being heated, parts of the building are being cooled. Their demand peak occurs at night, so photovoltaics has no impact. Even though we could be producing 400 or 500 kilowatts on that roof and avoiding 1 million pounds of greenhouse gas emissions. So there's a whole variety of legislative initiatives that I guess I really need to talk to Pam and Rob and Joe and Chuck in the House about how we present this so that we have enough time for legislators to evaluate it, and maybe I can even find a Republican or two that will talk to me about renewable energy.
But some states are doing things like what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Sure.
This initiative isn't necessarily reinventing the wheel, and we're going to pattern after what states have done successfully. I think where this is unique and unprecedented is how it's coming from grassroots. So really, what we saw at the iRenew conference, I got an invite to sort of attend this sort of work session that we were going to do, and sort of decide what our mission statement was going to be. And it was just amazing to see the caliber of groups that kept walking in the room and just kept filtering in to where it got to a point where just to be heard, you almost had to speak in a much higher voice. And it's just unprecedented. I've been organizing for 5 years now. I've never seen anything like this, especially not at the state level. And I think this is going to be the model that states are going to do, is to really bring citizens together and drive something forward that's beneficial to the whole community. 70% of Iowa is opposed to the nuclear power bills. So they do not want to see nuclear power, but it's moving forward. And the point is because we don't get together and we don't have our voices heard. But that's changing. That's changing with this movement. We want renewable energy, and we're going to ask what we're going to get. So that's really where this is unprecedented.
And all this can be done without a assistance or burden upon taxpayers. The economics just simply work the way they are right now. It's a question of raising consciousness, getting people to, in effect, buy a new car. That's what they're talking about. Put a system in your house or a business. So it doesn't appreciate in value, it needs it. So it's just a question of educating.
Anybody else? Quick. One last question. Okay. Then I want to thank everyone. Make sure everybody's material to share here. We already killed the trees, so let's pass them out and let help people be aware of it. So, thank you.